Hello everyone, it's David again. I'm here on Season 3, Episode 12, Sick Transit Veer. This is the one where he gets introduced to his arranged wife, Lyndisty. Starts off with Ivanova going to CNC nude in a dream sequence. Now, why do we all seem to have that new dream where you go to school, you're naked, or you go to class, you're naked, you go to give a lecture, you're naked? What is the thought behind that? What sort of neuroses do we all have? Because I think just about everybody's had that dream at least once, sometimes multiple times. If you have any ideas, put it down below. Starts off with Veer in the royal court, and this is, I believe, the courtier. There's two Minister Varinis. This one is Milo Varini, and this is the one where their conversation is he maybe homosexual or not? And I think the answer is he probably is, because he has an unnatural obsession with pastels. There is another Minister Varini. He's the one that ordered Londo to settle the differences between him and Rifa, so Londo settled it, killing Rifa. But that Minister Varini is not gay. Now, there are some relation between these two Varinis, but we don't know what exactly it is. But anyway, this Varini, Prime Minister Milo Varini, he tells Veer that it sounds like some of the reports were written by Prime Minister Malari. And he said, well, he helped me with some parts, and he goes, we figured as much, and you would do best from now on to give us reports from you, not from him, because Londo thinks we need to be protected, and we need you to go out there and give us actionable intelligence, as they like to say. So, we end the introduction. Veer goes to his room, and it's a room full of angry Narns. Huh? So then we cue the entrance, and we find out later that Veer has been using his clearances to get Narns off their homeworld and transfer them to other worlds. So, we cue the entrance. Carmen Thomas plays Lyndisty, and Damian London plays Prime Minister Milo Varini. We find out, as Ivanova was talking to Captain Sheridan, that she joined Earth Force in 2247. So she's been 13 years, and she's career military. We go to probably one of the funniest scenes in all of Babylon 5. It is Londo doing combat with a bug. A bug got into his quarters somehow, and he ends up trying to stomp it, and then he ends up going and grabbing his sword and literally smashing this bug with his sword. And he stabs it. I can't remember exactly what it was. It kind of looks like a tiny mini potato with legs or something out of it. If anyone remembers what exactly that bug was. But anyway, we find out from Londo that there are more bugs, because this one is much smaller than the other one. So, Londo introduces Veer to Lyndisty, and he says, Lyndisty tells Veer she has heard all about him from Londo, and Londo quips, don't worry, Veer, I only told her the good parts. It was a very short conversation. So, I wonder, what do they do for LGBTQ Centauri? Because they've got to have them. Like this Prime Minister Varini, was he sent off in an arranged marriage to a woman, or did he have a marriage to another guy, or was he swinging single the whole time? It makes you wonder what they might do in the next, if they'll even address the issue. About what they do with non-gender conforming aliens, or non-sexual conforming aliens, I guess, or however you would phrase that. We find out Abrahamo Lincolni has been getting Narn refugees off the planet. And in fact, Ivanova co-opts the Abrahamo Lincolni ID and stuff, and she ends up working towards the end, and I don't think they say how many Narns she ends up rescuing before the Centauri figure it out and shut it down. So if any of you know that answer, go ahead and put it down below. Sheridan tries to cook flarn for Delenn, and it doesn't go well. It reminds me of the time my sister-in-law, she had just married my brother, and they stayed up in Alaska. We moved to Oregon. A couple years after a couple months, I should say, after I graduated, I got some time, went back up to Alaska to visit them. And she tried to make me, it was supposed to be Spanish fried rice made with ragu sauce. Oh, she said she had it, one of her aunts cooked it for her, and it was really good, and she didn't quite get the recipe, but she was pretty sure it had to do with rice. So she tries to cook it for me, and I'm sitting here eating it, and she takes one bite, and then she puts it down, and I'm eating and eating and eating, and I got about halfway done, and I'm like, Chris, what's wrong? And she goes, why aren't you eating your food? And she looks at me, and she goes, I just want to see how much of this shit you're going to eat before you finally throw up. And she said, it's terrible. Let's go out to the local Sizzler restaurant and get something to eat. This is bad. So, yeah, my sister-in-law will tell you she is not a cook, or at least back then she wasn't a cook. Now that she's become a mother and stuff like that, I don't know if that's changed. But luckily my brother came and he knew a little bit how to cook. My dad was insistent on teaching us boys on how to cook. It wasn't just a woman thing anymore. He says, one of these days your wife is going to expect you to know how to do this stuff. And I'm like, okay, Dad. About the wife part, we'll discuss that later. Anyway, Veer and Lyndisty end up almost getting killed by a Narn yelling Sean Carr. And as we all know, Narns don't take up a blood oath unless there's a reason. We find out that reason is Lyndisty. It's not Veer. Because all of Veer's transports, the Narns on them, are getting through alive and well. Lyndisty is the one who turns out to be the mass murderess, I guess would be how you say that. She said at one point that the first few were easy. I've done it hundreds of times. And it's like, whoa. You know, it reminds you of the Nazi death camps. How the first few were hard for a lot of the guards, but after a while they all got used to it. And it became like a job for them. In fact, I had a professor in college who was actually, I guess, an internationally known expert, Dr. Christopher Brown, in the Holocaust, and talked to us about how, the jobs that the various camp guards played. When I took his History of the Jewish Holocaust course at my nursing school as one of my electives. But anyway, back to Babylon 5. Sounds like Lyndisty has spent a little bit too much time in her daddy's concentration camp. And she, in fact, said it's not their faults, they are simply inferior. And if you listen to Lyndisty, she sounds an awful lot like the white supremacists of today. And so, we still haven't escaped that sort of thing. If you listen to all the Sieg Heil guys and all of that crap, they sound exactly like Lyndisty. We also have a very interesting and lovely conversation between Veer and Ivanova, and we find out that the Centauri have 6. So they have 6 sex organs, because Veer tells Ivanova he's never gotten past 1. And she says, oh, you mean first base? And he goes, no, I mean 1. Because he says we have 6. And it's various levels of intimacy. By the time you're 1 is in, then by the time you're at the 5, you're just, and she's like, okay, that is too much information, pal. So, at any rate, what do you think about Veer's erstwhile wife? I wonder what ended up happening to her. Does anyone know? Because, wow. I don't think I could marry her, even if I were straight, which I'm obviously not. But at any rate, and what do you think happens to LGBTQ members of the Centauri? I mean, what do they do? because we all know it's arranged marriages, and way back a long time ago when there was LGBTQ members of royal courts, a lot of them had wives, and as long as the wives had children, whatever they did on the side was purely their business. And so a lot of frivolity was had in royal courts. So at any rate, hope to see you all on the next episode 13, A Late Delivery from Avalon. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and share.